Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine heirs. Today is November 24th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2021 on the Greco-Roman or Gregorian calendar. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, natural, divine, living Article 3 Al-Moroccan action. I am Sovereign Living Justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light to Jiri Bay, in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. I and all Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith, trust, credit, and energy are hereby vested in our
family Islam.
For we are the Islam. For we are the natural, divine, original, indigenous, ancient empire state of Morocco and the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. Thank you for being here, nobility. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, non-post-trunk. So I am glad to be here on this call, and thank you for the ones that are here. We can get right into question to Q&A if you all want to go ahead and do that. Brother Noble Britton Bay is here, and he's brought some new Moors as well who are on the call. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions, and we'll be happy to answer the questions. And also, if there are any Moors on the call who want to contribute or tribute to answering the questions on your experiences, then please feel free to do so, because this is it's a village call. It's a nation and government call, so everyone can, we're all speaking from our own personal experiences as well as from our studies and from what we've learned. So let me just say this before we go into Q&A. Where we are as a nation and as the government. So our focus has to be on governing our vast estate, because we are the only government here on the land. There is no other. When I say we, I mean all Moors. All Moors, no matter what we call ourselves, what quote unquote titles we have, or pre-titles rather, because some claim pre-titles and some have, and of course we all have our titles of nobility. But it is all of our responsibility to govern the vast estate. It's not resting on any one Moor. It belongs to all of us, because the estate belongs to all of us. And so there are no saviors but ourselves. So everyone will save themselves as we go through this beautiful journey that we're on together. And we're going to assist one another all along the way, okay? And that's what we're doing. So are there any questions, comments, or anything like that? We've made a lot of progress over the last few years. The progress has sped up just because there are so many Moors who are demonstrating and waking up and knowing who they are. The estate is manifesting very quickly, okay? And so if you have any questions, feel free to star 6. If not, I'll continue with where we are and what we're doing, and then we can go into a subject matter, if you will.
Peace, Empress. This is Athena Bay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Empress. Thank you for being here. Welcome. It is an honor to serve.
It is an honor to be in this space. I'm here with Brett and Bay. He invited us.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
I watched your video, How to Discharge All Debt. That's just one of many that I watched. But based off of that video, I have a couple questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm fairly new. I've been doing my own studying and things of that nature and nation building amongst the collective. But I'm very inquisitive, so I have some questions just to get clarity. So the first question that I wrote down was, it says, the 14th Amendment citizens are subject to the Moors. And then in parentheses, I put me, right? If you could break that down in the simplest form, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, so repeat the question once again, and because I want to make sure that all the Moors hear the question, because I'm sure some of them have the same question.
The same question, so, right? Okay, cool.
With the question.
Okay, so I wrote down, and I guess it's more of a clarification.
Athena, get out of there before you get suckered in.
Hold on for just a moment. Just a moment. Let me hold on just a moment.
Okay.
Let me put on the controls here.
Okay, cool.
Islam.
All right, so I wrote down, I wrote down a word because I wasn't really sure what it meant. Phoenicians. This is a word that you mentioned in that video. Could you explain that to me, or the definition in the simplest form, just for clarification?
Yes. So the Phoenicians were Moors. The Phoenicians, one of the words that comes from the Phoenicians is the word phonics. So they used to have something talking about hooked on phonics. Well, with the Phoenicians coined, which is just other Moors, more and more. They're right within our bloodline and birthright. And all of us have some Phoenician blood in us, where we can coin terms and put those terms forth and define those terms. And when we define those terms, it becomes a part of our language. So all language came from the Moors, the Phoenician Moors.
Gotcha.
So Phoenicians is just an ancient way to say Moors whose specialty was language and linguistics.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like a tribe within the Moorish Empire. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so you made another statement. You said 14th Amendment citizens are subject to the Moors, meaning, so you know when you're not in proper status, you're considered a subject, i.e. slave. Would that make the 14th Amendment citizens slaves to us, or just property of us?
So 14th Amendment is not really even a status, because it was never properly ratified by the Moors, because that's actually what counts here is did the Moors say that it was okay to have 14th Amendment citizens on the land? It is not okay for that. So no one is actually a 14th Amendment citizen. They just think they are. And if they ascribe to 14th Amendment status, then they get treated like slaves.
Right.
They get treated like slaves. If they don't pay taxes, they go to jail. If they don't stop at the red light when the policy enforcer says stop at the red light, they go to jail.
Right.
If they don't do what their slave master who put that 14th Amendment status in its place, yes, then then you have to pay the price slaves pay. Now, when I say 14th Amendments don't really exist, they really don't. Either for us, where we are in our rightful status is that either you are a Moorish American or you're subject to the Moors. And that is based on competence. It's based on competence and nationality. So all Moors are, we never could be citizens, we never could be 14th Amendment. That's enshrined in the 13th Amendment, Section 12 of the Constitution. Okay, 13th Amendment, Section 12 states that the descendants of Africans shall not be citizens, And when we say Africans, again, the land mass is still connected underneath the water. So this is all Africa. This is all everything. It's Northwest St. Maxim. It's the North Gate. It's the Maghrib al-Aqsa. It's all of that.
Right. So, that makes so much sense.
Okay. Now, I will say this about the subject status piece. We do have subjects. Moors do have subjects. And actually, they are subject to the Empire State of Morocco. Okay? And all Moors are the Empire State of Morocco. And then we have subjects on our land, on our estate. And those subjects are those who are not from here.
Right.
I.e., the foreign modern Europeans, generally they fall in the subject status category, and all Moors who are not competent to govern, because there are actually some Moors that are not competent to govern the vast estate. So we have to demonstrate according to our competence, and that's why our prophet said, "Study 3 times it's a spell." Study, 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 so that no one has to govern for you.
Right. Right. Thank you so much. And let me know when I'm asking too many questions, because I wrote down a lot of questions from that video.
Becoming Empress. And by the way, you're very beautiful. I see you on the camera right there.
Thank you. I realized that you couldn't see me, and I like to look at people when I talk, so I just thought that would be better for you as well, or nice or respectable, for you to be able to see me as well.
I do like to see. I do like to see the more.
I think it's better. Energy transfer better than that.
That's a great connection for us.
Yes, it is. Okay, so it says, unless Moors redeem them, they are stateless. And that means they're in the status of a corpse, right? And when we say corpse, does that correlate to the 14th Amendment? Although it hasn't been ratified, it's not valid. That's what makes them a corpse, because they're under an amendment that was never ratified. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was going to make sure I understood
our 14th Amendment. And that's a great correlation. You're right on it, Empress. You're right on it.
Okay.
Because the 14th Amendment just allows the corporations and the corporates to capitalize the lettering. And when they capitalize the lettering, then they say, okay, that's our creation, and we get to tell that thing what to do.
Right.
And if we step into that and say, oh, they capitalize it, it's in dead ink and capital letters, but if we think that's us, then they're gonna run us through the system.
Gotcha.
Repeatedly.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. So I think so the delarium.
Yes.
Delarium, is that, so for me, when I watched the video, how to discharge all debt, if I could sum it up, the answer would be to establish your own allocated currency, for lack of better words. And could you clarify it for me, because
yes.
Little
so in the Constitution, and whenever we're clarifying, we just keep pointing to the law.
Gotcha.
In the Constitution, first of all, the treaty is a commercial document. Okay? So it talks about commerce and how we are to govern ourselves in commerce. The Constitution is also a commercial document. That's why it talks about all debt being paid in gold and silver coin.
Right.
Okay? And we know that a coin is a sovereign. If you look up the definition of coin, if you look up the definition of sovereign, they point to one another.
Okay.
So with the dollarium, it was our job. That's not even an option. It's the law for us to create our own money. That's the law. Because no one else can create their own money on the land and it be credit.
Right.
That's the federal, because they're not the creditors, we are. So it is incumbent upon us to print out dollarium and use it. There's a great video called the Case Closed video that we did on social media. We put it out on Facebook or the Jury Day channel.
Okay.
And the Case Closed video shows how we use dollarium to get the state court, who then became an inferior subject court to the Moors. We got them to stop their pursuit of even their own court.
Okay. I gotta watch that.
Okay.
I gotta watch that.
So yes, be sure to watch that, because it shows the emails that went back and forth between us, between the Moors, and then how the corporate court then got into subject status and responded and said, okay, everything is quashed, everything is,
right.
We see that the gods are speaking. They're using money because we specifically use dollarium in that demonstration. And that is how Moors are doing their demonstrations thus far, is using dollarium. But there needs to be 2 Moors in the process, at least 2 witnesses. That's the 2 witnesses, you and 1 other Moor, do the court action back and forth and acknowledge each other as an Article 3 court. Okay. And that's in all issues, whether it be financial issues, whether it be, because all of the resources on the land belong to us, including the inferior courts. Those courts are our resource too. But we have to tell them what to do competently. And as you know, all judges are bankers, right?
Yes. Well, yeah.
You're the judge. You're the justice.
Right.
Yeah, that's you. That's all Moors. Islam.
Right. Islam. All right. So would it be better for us to? All right. So my question is, as a Moor, right? Am I printing out this money individually, or should I do it amongst the nation? Should we all be using one currency, or should we all have individual delarium?
You can do, you're sovereign. You can do whatever you want to do.
I like that.
Yes,
I like that.
yes. It
like
doesn't have to be delarium. Let me say this about that.
Okay.
In order to coin your own money, you must be a state. Okay? And we all are, and a state, this means you have an estate. Okay?
Gotcha. Meaning
so
trust,
the more can, I'm talking about knowing how to competently state that you have an estate that you are governing with your own currency.
Gotcha.
Okay? I'll say this about that. In the past, and this is why we say start out with delarium first, and then if you want to create your own, create it. The reason we say that is because in the past, Moors have done things individually. They've done things, and they've done, and some of their demonstrations worked for a time, and then after a while, the ancestors came back and said, okay, you did good there. That's what we want you to do, is demonstrate your status. But now you all have to come together. You got to unify, because our strength is in our numbers, and the corporates know that. And so there are so many people using delarium at this time that you can do your demonstrations with delarium and keep demonstrating. The demonstrations may or may not turn out the way you see it turning out. But all demonstrations are successful because we're going to learn from them. Now, the demonstration that we did in the case closed video, it worked even better than initially what we imagined.
Right. Okay.
It worked even better, and we showed the screenshot that the Empress sent me about what they did and what the outcome was. So our suggestion is to start with delarium first, because there's been more research done on delarium as opposed to your own. And it's not opposed to your own currency. It's in connection with and in conjunction, because we're moving as one.
As one,
so
right.
We honor all other currencies. We honor it as long as they start and stop with the heirs. So the heirs that are creating their own currency, go for it. We will honor it. We'll exchange it. We'll do commerce with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But know the nuances of how currency comes into being. It comes into being because you have proclaimed your statehood. Because the conveyance mechanism of the state is how the United States Corporation Company was moving forth on, and just seemingly taking over everything.
Right.
Is they would always invoke the state, the corporate state.
Right.
Okay. So in looking at them and them teaching us how to govern, we just looked at it and said, okay, they're using the state in order to do all of this stuff. even if there was an individual, it seemed like it was individuals involved. Those corpses in the background, they brought the whole state with them. The United States Corporation Company, they brought all of that with them. That's how come you cannot win in their corporate court if you think you're a court.
Right.
Generally, you cannot win. But even that is changing when Moors know who they are. Even that's changing. So again, things are changing over time. Just because so many Moors are active and so many Moors are doing the demonstrations with the dollarium, because many Moors don't have a choice. They don't have any fiat, so they got to do the demonstrations with dollarium or with their own currency. We are the money. It's not any other thing that's the money. It's the Moors that are the money. So you can use whatever currency you choose to use. That comes from and is created by you, because this is an exercise in knowing who we are and knowing that we're the real money.
Got you. So dollarium will basically be the standard Moorish American currency in each individual state that establish their own, as long as it stops with the air, it begins with the air and ends with the air, and we're all communicating amongst each other in regards to this belongs to me individually, so on and so forth. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I think a lot of it. Okay, it says Mont video, and I put a question mark because I did this a couple of days ago. I can't remember the Monta video. I think you said something about the Monta video. I wasn't really sure. MONTEVIDEO. The Monte video.
Oh, Monte video.
Yes, I think I was looking for like a definition or explanation on what that is. But like I said, it was a couple of days ago, so I'm sorry about that. I guess I'll let someone else, ask some questions, and then I'll listen in, and if I have any more, I will come back. But I guess I'll just take a break for right now, and let someone else have the floor, and then as I listen, I'll jump back in if I get the chance to. I appreciate you so much, Islam.
Come in whenever you're ready, Empress. That's what this is for. This venue is to just ask questions, and so feel free to do that as often as you like.
Thank you so much.
We need to do that. We need to yes. And thank you for your energy, Empress, and your sovereign demonstration, Islam.
Thank you so much.
I think we hear some airs in the background as well. Do we hear some airs back there in the background?
We do.
Oh, you're wealthy, Empress. You're wealthy. Yes. You got heirs. You're wealthy. Islam.
I have 3. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Ooh, super wealthy. Love it. Love it.
All right. Peace.
Islam. Are there any other questions? Islam. I want to show you briefly, speaking of the dollarium, I want to show you briefly in the record where we are seeing our money manifest. Because we have, let's see, there are, in the past, some felt that they were not sure whether we had the right to print our own money and, show us in the records where the money is and all of that. So we are going to put something on the screen from the records. This that we're going to put on the screen, it's from it's foundersonline.gov. Okay. And this is a clip from a letter written by the one who was doing business as John Adams, who was the second United States Corporation Company president, the president of the United States Corporation Company, back when we were in 1786. And in this clip from his letter, this is just a small part, and I'll put the link to that website in the chat shortly. But I want to read you this clip from that letter that he wrote to a guy, another modern European by the name of Richard Crunch. And this letter it's just a look into the mindset of the foreign occupiers who were previously occupying our land. They are now subject to the Moors. So they are in subject status. We put them in subject status, and we're going to continue to put them in subject status and keep them there and remind them that that's who they are. But this clip is just a brief look at what they were thinking back in 1786, because the letter was written in 1786. And to read the whole letter, it will tell you who they were, what their standing was, and all of that. They knew who they were back then, and they know who they are now. But I'll just read through this clip really quickly. This is John Adams speaking to Richard Crunch in a letter that he wrote. Now, their letters are not the law. Their letters are just them writing to each other, probably not thinking that we would see the letters. I don't know if they thought we would see it or not. But it's here. It's published on foundersonline.gov, which is a United States Archives website, and it's an arm of the corporation, the United States, and actually they're in subject status too. So that's why a lot of these letters are being published. They have letters on this website from Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, a whole bunch of them, many of them who ended up being quote-unquote presidents of the United States Corporation Company. So let's just read through this clip of the letter. This is just a part of it. It says, this is John Adams talking to Richard Crunch. He says, "But we must not be afraid of 200,000 pounds to procure treaties with the Barbary powers," which is the Moors, "which will be worth 2 millions. We must not be afraid of laying 20 pounds bounty upon oil if necessary, nor of laying round duties upon British articles. We must encourage merit. The public mind must be generous, not mean and niggardly. Such a disposition stints the growth and damps the ardor of genius and enterprise. If there is meanness of soul enough to wear fine clothes, keep country seats, and ride in carriages upon money borrowed of English merchants and manufacturers, we must be content to be poor and vain and despised. I will not say proud. One grain of pride would scorn the base situation." He says, "What is become of the 300 pieces of brass coin which were found in Medford? Will the Academy publish an account of them? They are pronounced here not to be Phoenician, but Moorish. What is become of the art of making salt water fresh? Will the discoverer communicate his secret to the state or to Congress? I hope he will not dishonor his country so much as to come." Now, what is John Adams saying to his buddy, his co-worker in the United States Corporation Company? Because, Empress, you mentioned Phoenicians earlier, and this is proof that they have known that the Moors and the Phoenicians are the same. We're the same. Our coinage looked very similar. In fact, let me go on and get the link to this, to where this came from, and put it in the chat. So that you all can review the letter in its entirety. And then you can look around on this site and see other letters that were made, that were put forth by these United States Corporation Company person, the link is in the chat to this letter and to this website. That clearly points to Moorish money. We've always had our own money. It also points to the fact that they were indeed scheming to be a part of the Moorish estate, and that we owned everything, and we still do. In the first sentence of this letter, they're telling each other, they're saying, look, man, this is what they're saying to each other. Look, mankind, all we have to do is get in with the Moors. And when we treat with the Moors, we become wealthy because they're so wealthy. The Barbary powers is the Moors. And the Barbary powers consist of the Phoenicians and the Greeks and the Cherokees and the Moors. No matter what you call yourself, if you're of the bloodline and birthright, you're Barbary powers. Okay, that's yet another way to refer to the Moors. Okay, and so they knew that all they had to do was get in with the Moors, and they would become wealthy, seemingly, from their perspective, because they know who we are. They know everything belongs to us. This mentions oil. We are the original oil magnets, titans. We own everything. They've always known that. They've always known that. This letter is from 1786. In fact, we can go ahead and go to the letter as well. Here, I'll just click on the link so that we can see the actual letter and look at it and see what they say about each other. Okay? Because this is important that we know who we are as we continue moving forward. There it is on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and make it a lot bigger. And again, this is founders.archives.gov website. It is a part of the National Archives of the subjects who are the United States Corporation Company in their subject status. So they have to release this information, because if you go back through our videos on YouTube, we did about a year ago, we put on the public record a command to release all information regarding our vast estate. We want to see everything that has to do with us. And they have done that. They're doing as commanded, because we're giving competent command. So this is the letter. Let me know if you can see this letter on the screen. And I'll just pick through and point out just a few things that we know about, that we've been stating on the public record about them and who they are. Okay? And this is information that you can refer to in your affidavits if you want to refer to it in your affidavits, because this information is coming from the United States Corporation Company in its subject status and not as anything that governs us. Okay? So what John Adams said, the date of the letter is, here it is, the 11th of March, 1786. John Adams to Richard Crunch. And I want to point you to the third paragraph here first. It says here, we are at war with Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli. It says, by the laws of those nations, all nations are at war who have no treaties with them. He says, it is of vast importance to us to make peace with them. So, Moors, out of their mouths, they're saying that it's in their best interest to make peace with the Moors. from all perspectives. It's in their best interest to make peace with the Moors. Because if not, you're at war with us, you get nothing. What does war look like? What is a nom de jure? It's a war name, isn't it? That means you're at war. Who are you at war with? Those who are in all lowercase letters, the Moors in red ink. A nom de jure, that means you've assumed the posture of war with the Moors, and you don't want to do that because it's not in the best interest. It's not. That's why it's called a war name. Let's just put that right where it needs to be. It's called a war name because capitalism is at war with the Moors. Now, what do we do about that? We've already done it, and more and more, more and more are waking up to it, you know. And when I say we've already done it, many Moors have already put their sovereign appellations in red in all lowercase letters. Their sovereign-born appellations as well in red in all lowercase letters. So that capitalism, which is mentioned several times in the Constitution, by the way, does not take hold and cause us to be at war with ourselves. So many Moors are looking at the vast estate, and you should be. We all should be looking at where's the money. We should be looking at that. But we have to look at it from the perspective of, and we can't tell Moors how to think. We can't, like the prophet said, if I can just get you to think, you'll free yourself. Can't tell you how to think, but we can say, look at this. These are suggestions. Look. And our suggestions are based on the law, okay, on our status and what's in the Constitution, okay, and the treaties. We are not under the Constitution. We're aligned with it because we gave it to them and told them, follow that. So John Adams, who this letter, he wrote this before he became the president of the United States Corporation Company. This was when he was in the background, you know, doing all types of things and seeing how can we be a part of the Moorish vast estate? How? How can we do that? What do we need to do? So they knew it was of vast importance to them to make peace with the Moors. It says, but Congress, uninformed of the sums necessary to be given, has limited us to $80,000, which is not one quarter part of what will be found indispensable. Now, notice here, he said dollars. He didn't say Federal Reserve debt notes. Because, again, the dollar is what we said is going to be the money for the earth. And remember what we said about the dollar. The dollar is not money. It's a unit of measurement. But there has to be something in that unit of measurement. So what the courts did is they put the Federal Reserve debt note as their dollars, not ours, theirs. And what we're doing is we're saying that the gold-backed dollar, which is the real dollar, is the Moorish sovereign dollarium. And again, we've already spoken, you know, about that in this call, about what that means. Okay? We had to do something, okay, that was competent. We had to do something competent. We couldn't just do any old thing. We had to do something competent in order to properly rebut the Federal Reserve debt note. And that's where delarium came from. It was birthed from competent study and ancestral energy in knowing that we have the authority to print our own money. Each Moor can print their own money because all of us are the heirs. And that's why we've given delarium in the way that we've given it. And when we say given, we all manifested it. We've given it to ourselves. And so I will also point you to another paragraph here where they're also, again, talking about our vast resources. So the next paragraph says, the English are so happy in our indolence and simplicity, which yields up to them with so much patient good nature the entire market of Italy, Portugal, and Spain, which tamely throws into their hands the fisheries of cod and whale, and all our own carrying trade and navigation, that they have nothing to do but laugh at us. Now this is the foreign, you know, them, the corporation, talking about the Moors estate. And just like our teachers have told us in the past, they've been arguing over that which does not belong to them. So this is them and England trying to claim something that doesn't even belong to any of them. It belongs to the Moors, as long as we're governing and doing what we need to be doing. It says, to treat with us, this is what they're saying in the letter, would be an affront to their understandings as they think. He says, what? Give us our own carrying trade when we are willing to give it to them? It would be an affront to us too, not to accept our generosity. And all he's saying there is they've been giving England everything, and now they want to take their own what they've been giving England, because England taxed them. But that's because we told England to tax them. The original English is the Moors. So let's make sure that we all know that the power to tax rests with it stands with the Moors. The power to tax stands with us and us alone. And that's another reason why we had to have our own money. Again, this is a letter, and this is just a look into their minds. We're not using this as the law. We're just pointing to what they were thinking and what they were saying on the record. It says, but my countrymen will not always be so silly and so lazy and so silly. If they are, they will deserve. And then they put these dots because they took out a whole bunch of stuff that he said about his own people. And this is all about the money. They were looking to cash in on the vast estate. And I'll let you read through this. You can go to this website. We put the link, and we'll put the link under this video as well on YouTube at like the jure-based channels. But here is where it says, but we must not be afraid of 200,000 pounds to procure treaties with the Barbary powers, which will be worth 2 million. So they were looking to cash in, okay? And then here they refer to the Academy publishing an account of the Moors' money. That's important, Moors. Every penny that belongs to the Moors, which is all pennies and all money, there's an account that has been given. There's a record of it. It hasn't gone anywhere. Everything that belongs to us is still in place. It hasn't gone anywhere. No one can spend it. No one can use it. So think about this: when you're giving delarium and you're discharging debt, and again, the debt doesn't belong to you. It belongs to those subjects who took on a corporate status. So what are we doing? In the interest of the vast estate, we're moving that debt out of the way and giving it back to the corporation that created it. That's what we're doing when we give the delarium and we say, okay, so you're free from the corporation. Corporation, take your debt with you as you go. And then the subjects are free to do as commanded. Whatever it is that we've commanded them to do, they can do it. Okay. Now, they will always be in subject status. That's not anything for anyone to worry about them usurping again. They only usurp at our word if we give them either in ignorance or willingly, and all ignorance is willful with the Moors. Because that is why our ancestors said ignorance of the law is no excuse, because ignorance is willful, because we can study and not be ignorant. And they know if anybody can not be ignorant, it's the Moors. So it would behoove us, it would be really good for us to go through this website and look. And this is what I did. I searched Moorish. That's what I did when I went to this website. I just put in the term Moorish in all lowercase letters, and a bunch of stuff came up. A bunch of, just so many. We've been mentioned in letters and drafts of treaties where they were hypothecating and capitalizing the treaty and all of that. So we're mentioned, they know who the Moors are. And I'll tell you this website, these letters place the Moors squarely at North America. They can't, these are people talking about us here and our money being here on this land, not someplace else, not over there and over there and over there. We're here on our homeland. So they've always known. But see, we had to prove that we knew. And when we proved that on the public record, then guess what they're saying? Oh, you caught us. You got us. Well, we might as well put the information out there so the Moors can see it. Okay, yes, let us see. Give it up. Especially now that we have declared that we are the sovereign state on the public record. And we did everything that we needed to do. Okay? Been done. As our ancestors used to say, been done it. The things that needed to be done in order to, and let me say this, all we're doing, Moors, when we've declared our nationality and put our statehood on the public record and unified, all we've done is saying we're joining our ancestors because they already did this. We're just stepping up and saying, ancestors, we're competent, and now we're right here with you because they put this in place and they haven't gone anywhere. They're still here. Our ancestors haven't gone anywhere. They're still here. They're watching this whole thing manifest. And then we are our ancestors' return. They're actually working through each one of us, each and every Moor, to manifest so that we stand right with them. We always have and we always will. Keeping our energies clear, knowing that this is not a competition between Moors unless it's healthy, because there is healthy competition, okay? But it's not where it's not the men against the women and vice versa. It's not that either. It's not the old against the young. It's all of us together. Because, see, and I'll say this, you know, sometimes there are Moors who are up in more mature in age, who sometimes they don't give us the support, the younger Moors the support, okay? And we all have Moors that are younger than us. So we have to support the Moors that are younger. Support them. It's not a competition between us and them. It's not a competition between us and our sons either. And when people take that stance, it's just, you know, it at some point it becomes counterproductive. So we don't want that to become counterproductive. We want to stay focused on building together. Because and the reason I'm bringing that up is because those are some of the little foxes that have in the past spoiled the vine, but we're not letting it spoil the vine this time. Not this time around. This time we won already. We're just walking it out. In honor of our prophet, Noble Jure and our ancestors who preceded him, that's what this is all about. We can see in the records, we've always been here. When and that record of our coinage and the academy that recorded the coinage is still here. It has changed names over, that academy has changed names over the years, but they're still keeping records. It's the system that we've been speaking of. And then we showed you on the U.S. Treasury Direct website where every penny since this time has been on the record. Every penny since the 1700s. And even before that, really, but they started in the 1700s, of doing the clerical work, because they are administrative clerks who are subject to the Moors. That's the only function. Administrative clerks, period. And they do as commanded. When we're competent and peaceful. Peaceful for us means being in our proper status. That's it. Being in our proper status and then putting these documents forward and declaring who we really are. Are there any other questions or comments about any of this? There are Moors who have said, we're at war. This is war. We're not at war unless we think that we're corpses. That's why he said what he said. He said we need to make peace with them because they knew that we're peaceful. We're peaceful. And you cannot treat with us using a nom de guerre. Can't treat with the Moors using a war name. You can't. So what do? The subjects have to be referred to in capitis diminutio minima, which is the first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters all lowercase in blue. That puts them. See, blue is the sea jurisdiction. Remember what our prophet said. He said they're going to have to take on a whole lot of water. He was saying, Moors, put them back out at sea. They're not even lost at sea when we put them out there in blue in capitis diminutio minima. They're out there doing our bidding and doing as we command. It's all about us and our competence and continuing to stand, remaining, keeping ego out of it, and coming together. Whatever that looks like for us is what we are to do. And initially, sometimes it seems like it looks unstructured and chaotic. It's not. It's not. There's no such thing as chaos in our universe. Everything has a purpose, and it's going somewhere, exactly where it's supposed to go, at our command. So are there any other questions or comments regarding anything that we, Islam? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get off the Bluetooth here. We can see you. We can hear you now. That's
okay,
better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, beautiful Empress. We can hear you.
Yeah, I was just making sure. Okay, so I'm trying to really understand the dollarium. And how are you today? I should have asked that to begin with.
All is well, Empress. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Okay,
good.
So my question is, as far as the dollarium, okay, so I just sent, I'm in the process of claiming my sovereign status, and I'm coming to understand the trust, right? And when we're speaking of the dollarium and discharging the debt, is that process done while you're forming your trust, or is that done before you form your trust as to where you are discharging the debt when I was in the subject status, quote unquote?
So the trust documents, or the first, let's look at trust as a multidimensional command that we give. That's a trust is a command, and a trust is also all more. Hello, beautiful air. A trust is all. You're wealthy too, Empress. That's beautiful. Ooh, I'm so glad to see the air. We're growing. Our nation is growing. This is beautiful. So with a trust, the moment that you declare your nationality, trust is established. Your trust is established in energy and in your words. Okay? That's number one. Because, again, trust is also who you trust. And what you're saying when you declare your nationality is you trust yourself to govern yourself better than any corporation could ever do it. That's number one. And then when you do that, you're also establishing trust with everyone else who's declared their nationality. And you're saying, okay, we are putting our trust in ourselves and one another. Our allegiance is with our nation. Yes, nobility, yes, our interest and our trust is with our nation. So writing a trust out on paper is but a manifestation of that which is in your heart, and that which you have stated on the public record is a part of who you are. So with a trust and establishing your trust, the trust is already established energetically and by your sovereign command when you declare your nationality. But then you do want it to manifest on paper. So the moment you declare your nationality, you can begin demonstrating as if your trust is already set up and written out exactly the way you want it to be written out. You can start demonstrating immediately.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then over time, as you do your study on the trust document, your trust document is gonna change and morph over time as you become more in depth with your study. There are things that are going to manifest to you about your trust document. But from the beginning, what we have done in terms of just manifesting it as affidavit is did a one-page proclamation of trust that says our trust and our allegiance and all our credit, which they were attempting to use it, our credit is vested in us, not them. That's a one-page trust proclamation that all Moors should have from the beginning. And then as you learn, you can put things in your trust, and we've done videos on how to notate everything in your trust, and we'll continue to put that information out there. And as you study, it will become clearer to you how to put everything in red and all lowercase letters. Take it out of the capitalist system. All of the numbers on the things that are in your trust it's going to look the same, except it won't be debtor numbers. It won't have dashes in it. Because if you'll notice, all their numbers have dashes in it, or either dashes or they're alphanumeric with capital letters. Like a VIN number on a conveyance.
Right.
It has capital letters in it because they were claiming to take it.
Oh.
And so all we do is take that same VIN number and we put it in lowercase letters and in red, same number, and put that in our trust. That's part of that whole process. So everything is numbers.
Okay.
In the Constitution, that's called capitation. When they number something, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4, I believe, is the capitation clause. And the capitation clause, that's one of them. The capitation clause talks about how it says no capitation or other direct tax shall be applied, et cetera, et cetera. That's what it says. All they were doing when they were capitalizing things was taxing it. And so all we're doing is saying, that is my conveyance. It belongs to, it is the property of the Empire State of Morocco, the ancient empire. That's where it originated, because see, people start, when you're talking about, and I'll just use conveyances as an example, when you're talking about conveyances, there's going to be they used to issue a quote-unquote manufacturer certificate of origin that says it originated in the corporation. Well, what kind of conveyance originates in a corporation on paper? It doesn't. It originated at ancient Morocco. And we have to, when we're putting our conveyances into our trust, we make sure that it originates at ancient Morocco. How do we do that? We make it the property of the Empire State of Morocco, which is all Moors, which is you. You're the Empire State of Morocco. You're the government. You're the law. But what we're doing is bringing the power of statehood with us so that in international law, we have standing. Because individuals don't have standing in international law. States have standing. Okay?
Okay, that makes sense.
Nations have standing. And that's why we went on the public record and said, okay, we looked at what it took to declare statehood on the public record. Because see, whenever they were taking things, whenever they take conveyances and claim to foreclose on domiciles, when they really saying you're abandoning your estate. Whenever they did that, they didn't come as Bob Jones from down the street. They used a United States corporation company method to take the conveyance. Didn't they?
They did.
They used another corporation that was under the United States Corporation Company. Okay? So they were bringing the United States Corporation Company with them when they did what they did. And we have to remove that corporate covering with liens and court actions, and then put the Empire State of Morocco in its place. And then you, Empress, and all Moors are fiduciaries for your state, because that's what they were acting as.
You hear that, Mommy?
A policy enforcer was acting as if they had some type of fiduciary responsibility to collect a conveyance that doesn't belong to them. So we have to do the same thing. Have I answered the question or given some clarity on your question?
Yes, even more than I was even asking. It went even further to understand, because that's what we were trying to, me and my mother, wrap our head around. Okay, so with this currency and discharging all of these debts and discharging this, when we demonstrate, like, okay, I know when we get our MAC number and we get all that information back, and then we send, we put everyone on notice. And I
put everyone on notice.
You were saying put them on notice.
Let me say this about the MAC number. The MAC number is a consulate number.
Okay.
The government number is a sovereign security number. Okay, because we have to take that and put it in its proper place too. We have to take that and put it in its proper place. We have to. And just like I was saying with the conveyance, you take that VIN number and you put it in red and all lowercase letters. Same thing with that thing that they were using. They issued a social security number. We lien that thing and do a court action on that one. And then we say, no, we're the creditor. So we take the sequence of numbers. There can't be any dashes in it, and it's not in black ink or dead ink. Okay? It's in red. Okay. And it has either spaces there in between the numbers, not dashes, which are minus signs, by the way. That's what makes it a debtor number. It's a math problem. Social Security numbers are math problems. It's going to leave you far beneath your estate. And most Social Security numbers, when you do the math on them, is going to leave you with a negative number. Most of them. It's a lot more simple than we made it out to be. They wanted us to accept debtor status. So what are we doing? We're turning that into a plus math problem. Put some plus signs between them and put it in red.
Okay, so, okay, let me make sure I understand this. So, like you said, the MAC number is a consulate number, and that's kind of like that's our identification number. Is that within our nation?
Yes, well, it is that too. A MAC number is when there is consular duties and things that are going on. And that's what we use to, like, for example, to get our ID cards and all of that. We use that too. But you can use a sovereign security number as well. Okay. Some of the Moors that are doing ID cards prefer a MAC number. So, okay, there's a MAC number. That's good. Get a MAC number. But know that where the government is concerned and the Empire State of Morocco is concerned, a sovereign security, because see, we have to rebut everything they did. We have to properly rebut everything they did. And the Social Security number is a fraudulent, that's something that they kept using to defraud the vast estate. Okay? So we have to properly rebut that and put it in red, take those minus signs out of there, put it in red, and then any of the conveyance methods that come with it, such as a sovereign appellation that comes with your sovereign security number, is going to be in all lowercase letters in red too. So that because they always attached other things to that. And I could show you, in fact, let me show you my sovereign security number affidavit. Let me show you what it looks like and what it reads as. Okay. Here, let me put this on the screen. And we're going to be, these documents and things that we are looking at, we're going to, let me make sure that's the right one. I don't think that's.
Thank you.
Just a minute. Let me see. Let me see. There it is. Okay. Okay. So this is my sovereign security number affidavit. Here it is on our government letterhead. Can you see it on the screen, Empress?
Yes.
Okay.
I see plus signs.
Huh? Yes, yes. And the sovereign document number, that is the number that's on the back of, that was the proper way to put the number that they put on the back, because on the back of the majority of Social Security cards, there's a red number, a document number. That tells where your documents are. So this number right here, that's highlighted in blue, that tells, that says where the documents are, okay? And on most Social Security numbers, they put it in red. But they put a capital letter, a capital E. We have to put it in lowercase letters, okay? And I went back through, and if you go onto the Social Security website, they give the history of how Social Security numbers were issued. And when they were first issued in red.
And it changed to black.
And they changed it. Yes. Or either they were issued in black and they had a red shield in the background of the Social Security card, because then what they were doing was making subtle changes, and the Moors didn't notice the subtle changes, but they were incorporating and capitalizing everything. But because we were not sharing the information that we're sharing now, everybody was like, well, okay, I guess they're doing a good job of managing our estate, so let's just take the instruments that they've given. That was in 1933, 1934. Yeah. So it's our job now to have our Empire State government to issue the card. Who does that? Each Moor can issue their own sovereign security number because you already have the information. You know what it is. You have to rebut that and put it on the public record and lien that black thing. That's why we put a lien on it. And on that black one.
So lien the number, but like the one you change, the same number can be put in red with no dashes, and you can still continue to use that number?
Yes, you can. Now, let me tell you the difference between the two. If you have an account and that account has a minus 100 in it, is that the same number as having a plus 100 in it? It's exactly, one is a debtor and one is a
creditor. So the plus is now the creditor, the negative was the debtor. So
yes.
Just so I can understand this. So if I, for instance, right, say I'm gonna say, all right, this number that they issued me has a $400,000 house loan. And I changed that negative that has the $400,000 house loan to the positive red number without the dashes. Does that change? That changes that debt that I owed of $400,000 on the home to a positive, and I no longer owe that debt.
Not only do you not owe anything because they weren't talking to you in the first place, they were talking to a court. Courts are debt. But this is where they get the concept that a house is an investment and that you have that much credit on the books. We're just turning it back into the credit that it's supposed to be. Our estate is a credit to us. Now, here's what you do, and this is what we say with regard to all demonstrations. Number one, name change and judicial proclamation on the public record in red in all lowercase letters. Termination of all corporate contracts, which is saying you're not the court. Okay? So you terminate that court's contract. And then what you say is not only am I terminating the court's contract, but I'm going to lien those corpses. You want to lien whoever it is, and I've done this also for this domicile. Every quote-unquote dead pledge company liened. All of them lien. And then I lien the conveyance method, which is the social and the name.
Okay.
We lien those methods by which they've been transferring their debt to the Moors, or attempting to, making it look like they transfer debt to us. And then you're doing it. These are the same 6 steps that we've been saying the whole time. The same 6 steps for everything. And then the 6th step is fiduciary for the Empire State. Then what you're saying is, just like I've done with this domicile, all domiciles belong to the state, the Empire State of Morocco. So even if we moved or just walked away, in which we won't do that, we won't walk away because that's not competent, but even if we did, it would still belong to the Moors. It would still belong to the Empire State. Therefore, no corporation can ever claim they own anything on this land. So those concepts and precepts, I'll say precepts because precept is a better word. It is something that precedes everything that we've been taught.
Okay.
Your domicile is indeed a credit to you because the whole estate is a credit to the Moors. We have to demonstrate that competently, okay? And over the next few days and weeks, the reason that we've been taking time away from the calls is to put these documents together. And we're going to be doing videos over the next few days and weeks showing each document that we put together that has gone to the Library of Congress, that along with delarium, that says that everything that we're saying and doing is what it should be. Okay? And that it has to be honored by all, because when you, again, in those first 5 steps, the name change, judicial proclamation, a termination of corporate contracts, a lien on the corpse and the nom de jure and the wardship name and the social, and all of that can be one lien. And then the fiduciary document, okay, and all of this is done by court action. And the court action is just the language at the top of the paper, the pages that we do. Here's the court action language right here. It's at the top of my document here on the screen. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3 Moorish American Moroccan court action, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see it here on the screen.
May I screenshot this? It's okay.
Yes. And this video, just so that you're aware, this video is going to go up on YouTube so that you'll have time to stop the video and write down what you see, etc. And then we will put some documents under the video that have this language in it so that you can copy and paste it into your document. Okay? So, and then also you can take screenshots because it's on the screen. So this is my sovereign security number document right here, and this is what it looks like, okay? And this is my actual one, by the way. And it says right here, this sovereign security number is the property of the Empire State of Morocco. What does that mean? That means that the United States Corporation Company couldn't touch it if they tried. They can't. And they're not going to touch it. They're not even going to try because we've already put them in their place. It says the above appellation is the property of the Empire State of Morocco. Okay? Because they do like to take things and capitalize it, right? So whenever Moors will go into those state courts and say, I am Jonathan Bay, and I'm just using that as an example, just, you know, they would say, okay, since he's here in this court, in this state corporate court board meeting, because it's not even a court, he's giving us the permission to capitalize Jonathan Bay. So they would hand back papers that say Jonathan Bay in black ink, in dead ink in capital letters, and say, okay, you said that's who you are. You're in a fake court, so that's who you are. And they would capitalize, period. So we have to put it on the public record that, nope, we're not anything in capital letters according to what you've issued, according to what they've issued, because they like to issue stuff and claim what they issue. So we have to turn right around and issue, and we have full authority over that which we issue.
Okay.
I have to say I'm so glad to see the Moors on camera. I see you there, nobility on the camera. I'm just glad to see you. That's all. I miss you. You all, everybody. I always miss our connection when even though we're still connected when we're not having the calls, I still miss, you know, because we are one. So this is the document. I put the court action language, and then I put one other statement, and that's the end of the document.
And that's letting them know.
That's letting them know. This is the sovereign security. This is us, our government, issuing sovereign security numbers by which we can do whatever type of commerce that we want to. Okay? Let me. Okay. There. Okay. Yeah. More.
Did you take over First Avenue on vacation, Pauline?
Mom. Okay. So we do, you know, and issue everything for ourselves. We have to do that. Okay? That is our responsibility as the government. And it starts with issuing it for us and our heirs first, and then for others. Okay. High nobility. Listen at the baby.
Yeah, she's wants some eat her avocados.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Islam.
Thank you.
I'm excited for our nation. We because we're growing so quickly, and our nation is everything. We're growing very, very quickly.
It's time.
And I'm excited for us because of that. Every time I hear about heirs, I'm like, yes, we're even more wealthy today because we got a new heir. That's a whole new estate that has been manifested by way of the sovereign matriarch whom we honor, Islam.
Thank you so much for the information. I now have better understanding because I was struggling there a little bit, but it makes a lot of sense on the steps that we need to take. So thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your demonstration.
Yes, Islam. Thank you for your question, and thank you for birthing some heirs. Woo-hoo! Our state is healthier. I'm always excited about our heirs. And let me not say anything on the record about me having another heir. I would love to have another one, but I think this is, we birth the nations in many different ways. So I have to do it by way of what we're doing of the work. Islam. Thank you, Empress. Are there any other questions or comments with regard to all that we are doing?
Yes. Hi. My name is Tatiana. I'm actually
Islam, Empress.
today. Thank you. Peace and love to you as well. Please excuse my ignorance. I am a little behind in my understanding in all that you're speaking on, and I am on the way to also establishing my proper being. If you can you explain why the red ink? I haven't been able to understand that part of it.
Okay. So there are actually precepts of writing that determine the tone of the writing and who's speaking. So, Empress, do you remember the red letter edition Bible where all of the words of Jesus were in red? All of the words of the Savior were red. I see. We're the Savior. We are to save ourselves. That's just one way to put that. Another way to put that. There is the law. There's admiralty law, which is the sea, law of the sea. There's the law of the land, and there's also the law of the air. Okay. Whenever you are speaking, and then there's corpse, which is dead law. Okay. Each one of those is presented in color form. Color is the tone. The law of the land is written in red. Land jurisdiction, because it's jurisdictional. Land jurisdiction is red. Sea jurisdiction is blue. Dead corporate jurisdiction is black. Okay? And then air jurisdiction is purple. That's why when you see people saying that they are royal and royal purple and, they're using jurisdictional language and not saying that that's what they're doing. The law of the land is red, in red. And that's why our ancestors put red on our flag is red. With one green 5-pointed star. They wanted us to know that this is the land jurisdiction. And then the green is friendship. Green is friendship. So if I was writing to one of the Moors, just a letter to say, hey, my sister, how are you doing? I would write it in green. So, but this flag that we have presents peace, land, and friendship. The very flag. Now, the banner of amity and commerce, if you look at it, it's red, white, and blue. The red had to come first because we gave them some commands. We wanted them to know that you're subject to the moral. That's where the red comes in at. The white is sovereign status, our sovereign status. And then the blue, and that's why they always put red, white, they say red, white, and blue in that order. Blue is the commerce or admiralty sea jurisdiction. It's jurisdictional, which is where they should have been. Now, think about what's been going on around us. We've been given about all of this in everything, but we can see it in the law. Many of the foreign hybrids, a lot of them are exhibiting a black banner of amity and commerce. Some of you may have seen them exhibit that on their T-shirts. Some of them have it hanging outside. That is a jurisdictional statement. They're saying we prefer to stay corporate, and we're going to go where the corporate goes. We're going to be a corp. Okay, that means that you're wanting to be deported off the land, basically, because corporations can't stay here. That means come and take me to Guantanamo Bay. So the colors make all the difference, and our ancestors knew that when they gave us this 10,000 plus, 100,000 plus year old flag. Then even our continental flag is red, white, and green, because those colors state land jurisdiction all day long, and that we have the superior sovereign jurisdiction on the land. Okay? So the red writing is a statement. It says that you have an estate and that your estate is sovereign, and you are the savior of your estate, and that whenever the savior speaks, all subjects are to listen and do as commanded and to obey. That's what the red is for. It's in language writing, in the writing style manuals, and let's take it there, because sometimes, well, let's put it in its proper place in all perspectives. If you at a writing style manual, a very old writing style manual, the writing style manuals are the manuals that they used when they were first saying, okay, what legal or lawful writing do we want to put? And in our case, it's lawful writing. We want to put some lawful writings on the public record. Let's look in a writing style manual, a very old one, preferably a writing style manual from the 17 or 1800s. It will talk about the tone of writing. The tone of writing, when it's in red, it's a peaceful tone. That's why they call the Savior the Prince of Peace. And for us, our bright red thumbprint is a print of peace. Okay? That's why it's in red as well. It is the highest seal. So there are many aspects of that. If you want to find that in writing, get you a really old writing style manual. There's the Chicago writing style manual from the 17 and 1800s, which is one of the older ones. But that one is more geared towards the hybrids and how they're to do things. And then there is a quote-unquote U.S. writing style manual, and it's old. Now, the law schools, like Princeton Law School, Yale Law School, their libraries will have old writing style manuals in them. Tell you that the color that you write in determines the tone and the jurisdiction of the writing. Okay, and also historical societies will have that type of information in them as well, if you want to just see it in writing. Okay, does that assist inference, or should I expand further on the tone and why red?
you've provided more than enough information, which actually had my gears going. So going back to the topic that Jog touched on in regards to, using your social, or still using your social to,
You're not
acquire.
still using your social.
Okay.
It's a completely different number, because one is a creditor number and one is a debt number. And that's why we know that a negative number and a positive number not the same at all. And that's the difference between a creditor number and a debtor number. Okay? So be sure that that concept and precept is in your mind in terms of, again, if you have minus 100 in an account, and then you have an account that has plus 100, one of those accounts is in debt. The other has a credit, right? That's the difference between blacks and Moors. One is a debtor and one is a creditor. So we're not using the social. Why? Because it's issued by the dead. So that's why we lean it in that format with the signs and the dead ink. We lean it by court action and tell it, go on to Guantanamo Bay because you're issued by the dead. And then our government issues. Who is our government? You, all Moors. So you craft your own and issuing your own sovereign security number. That's where they got a social security number, is they hypothecated the process that we use to do commerce. And then they started doing commerce and treating us like we were the commerce. No, we're not. We're the heirs. We just have to be competent to state that on public record. And that's why whenever people say that we're using the social security number, I have to stop them and correct them immediately, because that is not the same. And then give them this is the math 101 says that a positive number and a negative number are not the same numbers, and in fact they are diametrically opposed on a scale or on a thermometer. There's a big difference between minus 80 degrees and plus 80 degrees on a thermometer, right? So I had to stop you there, Empress. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But
no, it's okay. Thank you for stopping me. That answered the initial question I had in regards to that. Now, if we're not using the social, right, say that I do want to go forward with purchasing or obtaining a conveyance, right? I said that right? Okay, cool. If I did go forward with wanting to purchase one, how does that work? Because they provide their own documentation. So what documentation do I would have to bring with me in order to, obtain that object?
Okay. So our process is the same according to the law. Name change, judicial proclamation, termination of all corporate contracts, a lien on the straw and the social, by court action, a fiduciary document, Empire State of Morocco, and then that exchange, if you go back and look at the case closed video, you're going to see how the Moors did the exchange between us, and we copied them on that fake court who was claiming to govern something. We copied them on it, and they responded and said, okay, whatever y'all say, we will correct our records based on what the Moors did. That is how those exchanges are to take place. Is they happen between the banks, which is so you and another Moor get together and you do that process watch the case closed video, because the Empress in the case closed video, she had already done everything in terms of name change, judicial proclamation, lien on the straw. She liened everybody that was involved. So if I was going down, if I saw a particular conveyance, I would lien all the corporate off of that conveyance. So you have to do those processes first, put them in place first. And that's why we've been given those processes over the last couple of years, is put those processes in place so that they're already in place when you get ready to demonstrate your sovereign status, okay? And then the dollarium comes in and puts the final competent touch on what you're doing. And when I say competent touch, we have to put an exchange on the public record. We can't just claim it just because we're the heirs. We have to be competent heirs and show that exchange, a competent exchange has taken place for that conveyance. And then it would behoove us to, whenever you see a conveyance, and I've done this part already, I've not completed the process because we needed to get these documents to the Library of Congress, and that's why we took this week off, this last week and this week off. So what you want to do is go to wherever you've seen the conveyance and write down, or take a photo of with your camera phone of the VIN number and the paper, the documentation, and then take that home and rebut all of it in red and all lowercase letters. And then create the title, the sovereign title to the conveyance. And then listen, Empress, all we're doing is rebutting what banks did. People who had the quote-unquote fiat to pay up front didn't even go to a car dealership and deal with a car dealer per se. The only thing they did was notify them that the conveyance had been purchased and gave them instructions on what to do. Provide the key, deliver it here, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? But we have to notify, okay? And we're going to be demonstrating that ourselves in weeks, and because we don't put anything out here that we're not demonstrating ourselves. The case closed is proof of that. We know delarium works because we know what the law is. We're not worried about responses and reactions from subjects or from other boards. We're talking about what is the law. It's our job to enforce the law. You have every right to get a new conveyance. Every right. Because the conveyance originated, and this is what I was saying earlier, it originated on your vast estate anyway. Didn't it? Yes, it did. So knowing how to put that forth on the public record, our paperwork always precedes us, Empress. So have everything done first. Then do the demonstration. Okay? Islam. We're going to be putting, again, these documents that we have cleaned up and gotten all straightened out and everything in order and all of that over the next few days and weeks. We're going to be doing little 5 to 10 minute videos on showing what the documents look like and where they went, etc., and the demonstrations that we're doing. Islam. Hopefully,
thank you so much.
I
Thank
answered the question.
No, it did. I just had a mental block. I wasn't understanding the bridge, but I get it. You're basically, once you're in your proper status, you then have the proper paperwork, and then you follow through with looking at what conveyance you want to obtaining the necessary documents that they will use, going back, rebutting it, and also providing your supportive documentation, and then giving it back with the exchange of the dollarium, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. And just know that as you're preparing to do this process, I'm telling you right here, right now, from personal experience, that, and this is a good thing, that as you're preparing to do this process, the ancestors are going to send little tests along with you to ensure that you're ready for this process. So when you see the test come, just stand. That's all. That's all they want us to do, to stand. Just stand.
Islam.
They prepare us long beforehand. Islam.
Islam.
Islam nobility. I believe there was
clarify?
one of the nobles.
Yes, Yaqub Ali. Could we clarify? Grand Rising. Could we clarify the exchange that was that the Empress suggested there near the end of her summary? She said an exchange with delarium. Who are we exchanging with? Who are we exchanging?
Other Moors with another Moor with notification to those who are. Okay, watch the closed video, please, so that you can see what that looks like, please.
Right. So I know, but I'm not too sure that she understood that it goes between one Moor and another Moor.
One Moor to another Moor, but the hybrid foreigners need to be notified that, and they need to see proof that took place. And the reason I'm saying they need to see proof, we're not proving anything to them. All we're doing is saying we're competent and our bank has taken care of this already. And believe it or not, that's all they were ever doing. A conveyance dealership is nothing but a place where people show up every day saying that they're selling something when really we're not buying our own estate. All we're doing is giving proper accounting of it. So a clearer notification of how that works, clearer step-by-step of how that works is in the case closed video, okay? Please watch that video because me and the Empress did it, and then we showed you where that state court said we yield.
I have a question.
Okay. Islam. Where
would a Moor obtain the delarium? How would we get it in our
delarium?
Yes.
Let me put that on the screen where you can obtain delarium.
Okay, I'm just on the right.
I guess I'm gonna have to put it on my document here. I'm gonna put it on the screen. To obtain delarium, send an email requesting it to the government, and I'm putting how to spell that, at gmail.com on the screen. Just one moment. There it is on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. Let me make sure I put it up there. And we have been behind. We're working as quickly as we can to. Let's see. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the government at gmail.com. That is the email for the delarium. So go ahead and send a request to the government at gmail.com, and we will get the delarium out to you. If you have something going on, then send me a text message, and I'll go ahead and get you the delarium ASAP. My phone number to send the text to is 334-294-9828. Just send me a quick text saying, send me some delarium at this email, and put your email address in there, in your text message,
great.
And we'll get it to you.
Okay, and just to make sure I have it correct, you said 334-294-9828. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Those who have emailed, we are working through the emails as quickly as we possibly can. We are working through the emails as quickly as we can. I've also taken this time to get my assistant up to speed so that she can help with the emails and the documents, and she's been doing an awesome job. It's just it's my empress, my heiress, my daughter. She's helping finish all that we're doing. So I got to send a shout out to her because she's doing a great job. She is doing a great job. She's anyway. I know we're all as proud of our heirs as I am, so I'll stop there with that. So, are there any other questions or comments, etc.?
I do. I actually have another question.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure one of us do. Wait, please.
Okay. So I do understand, technically speaking, we will be canceling out the Social Security number and placing liens on the straw man. In terms of the FICA establishment, does that mean that it completely wipes out the existence of you, or is there like a shadow to the entity?
Okay, so what it does is we have to command their system to correct the records. All we're doing is correcting their records as the VVR. So because they had us in there erroneously. And this is what happened previously. In their system, they had corporations as the creditor. Okay? And when I say corporations, I mean Apple, Microsoft, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, etc. But then others who pretended to be corporations, like we thought we were a citizen, and we thought that capital letters and dead ink was who we were. They had us on the back end of their system listed as debtors. So they just kept anything that we were wanting. They were saying, well, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. You got to. Meanwhile, corporations are getting domiciles and conveyances and all of that and not paying anything. That's why they made a big deal about them not being taxed, because they were taking our status. Now, how did they do that? On the back end of the system, they were putting things in red, not in red, but in black in all lowercase letters. On the back, and whenever they would report to the IRS, they reported in all lowercase letters. We have proof of that. We've shown it, but let me show it again. I'm going to put it on the screen and prove to you that that's what they were doing, using our status to and putting things in all lowercase letters in order to gain their the things that they were gaining. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Let me just show you proof of that real quick. So on the screen, the Grand Lodge of Washington,
Screen sharing is paused. I'm seeing that sign. Is that me or for everybody?
Hold on for just a moment. Let me make sure that you can see it. Okay, can you see that there?
Yes.
It says Grand Lodge of Washington. Now, this is from the website of the Masonic Lodge here at Tacoma Territory, Tacoma, Washington Territory. And they were so bold that they didn't even hide it.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing something else.
These are the
Yeah, I think I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing PDF. That's what you're showing us, the PDF?
You have to double click the Grand Lodge file.
Hold on just a moment. Just one moment. Let me make sure. Can you see it? Does it say Grand Lodge of Washington there on the screen?
You see in your Windows browser.
I don't as of yet.
You know they. Okay, y'all, just a moment.
And it looked like it's froze there. Yeah, they had kicked me out the room earlier. I had to go through some changes to get back in.
Okay. You know, sometimes they're like, I really wish she would stop putting that stuff out there like that. Let's see if we can stop her. Just one moment.
Yeah, I know that's the mindset.
Yeah. So if just one moment, I'll get it up there. Is it on there now? Let me see. Let me share the preview.
Screen is black.
So that you all see. Okay, just one moment.
Sorry, monochrome.
It's up there. Just one moment. Just one moment. Okay. Hold for 1 second, you all. Just one moment. Let me see if I can put on that for a minute.
Did you kick yourself out again?
Okay. Now, let me, I apologize for the wait. Now, do you see it there on the screen?
It's loud.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. I had to make a few adjustments there. Okay. So, let's see. All right. So if you look here on the screen, it says, this is the Grand Lodge, this is a screenshot from their website. It says, every time you are asked to enter a name, the name should be entered entirely in lowercase letters with no middle initial. Furthermore, the name that you enter in step 1 must match the name entered in step 10. Step 6, you must select Manage Form 990N submissions, even if you have filed your 990N electronically in previous years. Step 7, you should choose Exempt Organization in the User Type field. So they have been putting, now remember, this is everyone who has been a part of that, and they had to have, listen to me carefully, Morris. They had to have at least one Moorish American, whether they knew they were a Moor or not. They had to have at least one of them in order to claim that status right there, exempt status. And that way they would put everyone in all lowercase letters and get their exempt status. Okay? You can't get any benefits being in all capital letters. You can't. You can't. That means if you're in capital letters, that means someone else is governing your estate. Okay? And so on the back end, they knew back there in the back, they knew that they were putting everything in all lowercase letters to get the benefit. But then when they send out their letters to everybody, and I've not received a letter from them, but I already know how they operate because they're a corp just like the rest of them. They will send everything out to the members in all capital letters, and the members will do what? Respond to that. So then they said, okay, we got everybody's consent to be a corp, so we'll take their benefit and we'll use it. In plain writing right there. So the beneficiaries just did not know. But this is the thing. They were told, and this was the command that we gave them when we created them, the hybrid, the modern European corporation corpses. Now, again, not all modern Europeans are corpses. Some of them are living subjects, etc. So we want to make sure that we put that out there. And we're not mad at anyone because we have full authority to change everything that's going on with our nation. So we're not mad at anybody. We love everybody. But this status right here, nobody can claim anything unless at least one more consents to be that. And we all know that those lodges have one set of lodges that has Moors in it. We know that already. We're not even gonna, we know that already. Do a little research if you don't know. They have one set specifically made for Moors, and the whole organization earthwide of them is eating off of that set of Moors. They're saying this is what's going on the land, so we can claim it too, because because we got the Moors permission to do it. They didn't rebut that. So now what are we doing? We're rebutting their ability to get any exemption using our status. That's what we're doing.
Please enter some study.
Because they know the laws of writing.
Kicked out. I'm sorry. Britton Bay was kicked out.
Say again and speak up just a little bit.
I'm sorry. Britton Bay, he was kicked out. And he said he's in the waiting room.
Just one moment. And this platform does that, just so that you're aware. This platform will do that sometimes. It just does that. Okay. And then when he comes in,
they're not using that jalopy.
Generally, that stuff comes in too.
I understand. They do it to me on my platform as well.
Yeah. Islam. So,
Pauline, you been out using your stupid.
Let me make sure. Get him locked up.
Sits there and waits to come in and say that goofy stuff. Like, he really sits there and waits to come in and say that goofy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if he got a problem, he should have a problem with the law. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead on with that clown stuff, man, and don't curse your children. Don't curse your children by doing this to this sister, man.
We good. Nobility, we good with that. We chuckle a little bit and we keep going. We're not going to get no energy to that. So, again, because we done snatched another sandwich. See the sandwich on the screen? We snatching that. We taking that away. And folks get a little hungry, so they want to come in. It's all right. We good.
Right.
We're going to keep eating. We're going to keep eating and keep growing. So, anyway, yeah, that's what they've been doing on the back end. And then whenever they send mail out, they send it out, and then when we were responding to that stuff with something that was not the law, they would say we have their permission to give them a light bill, a mortgage, a car note, quote unquote, and all of that, because we didn't rebut that stuff properly. It's not enough. Let me tell you this, nobility is proven. It's not just claimed. Because anybody can claim to be the heirs. But they will know, and again, from ancient times, we gave them this command: occupy until we come. And they will know that we here, and those who are familiar with the biblioteliotext know that occupy until the Savior comes is in there. Okay? Occupy until we come. And so that's what they were doing, and they will know that we're here by what we say, what we do, and our energy. If we're warring, they're just going to see that as more of what's been going on, a war back. War names, nom de guerres, unpeaceful energy, wanting to fight them. Like the ones coming in here, we love them. We love them because what we're doing can't be stopped. They want us to fight and argue and spend time going back and forth with them over an estate that they've been fighting over for all these years, each other over. But it's ours. All we have to do is speak competently. We don't even have to speak to them. We just speak to each other and speak competently. And when we do that, guess what? Okay? Now, Lawrence, I'll say this about the demonstrations and everything. Let me say this about, because we gotta, this part we gotta get right. With every demonstration that's done, we must be sincere about who we are and what we're doing. We cannot do the demonstration just once to save us from something, and the rest of the time we lollygagging and kicking around, you know, and contracting, okay? Because, see, sometimes people will put a termination of corporate contracts on the public record, and then the next week they'll go and sign a little something, you know, a little something that nobody knows about. And then something will happen, and they'll say, but I put a termination of corporate contracts on the public record. Not be honest about the rest of the stuff. And it's like, okay, come on now. This, because the ancestors see everything. They see everything we say and everything we do. Why? Because they look in straight through our eyes. and they're looking straight. They're using our arms, legs, leg, arm, head. That's Allah. Okay? So one thing we do know is that and this is from experience. This is not even from guessing or watching anyone else. This is from personal, firsthand experience numerous of times. When are sincere, our ancestors will kick all tails for us. Period. And then in many of the demonstrations, the ancestors have things they want to show us. So look for the lesson in the demonstration. Regardless of what happens in the demonstration, look for the lesson in it. Grab that lesson, grab hold of it, learn it, and then demonstrate again. And then demonstrate daily, every day, demonstrate every day. Whether it be at the grocery store or whatever, just whenever it is called for. Okay, we don't have to demonstrate just, we don't have to go out looking for a demonstration because they're going to come. The opportunity to demonstrate is always going to be with us. Okay, so demonstrate regularly so that you get bolder and more comfortable with demonstrating, because we are outside of our comfort zone initially when we start demonstrating, but after a while, we're not taking any mess from anybody, and we're demonstrating our sovereign status. I don't care who is standing in front of us and what they got or what they're showing or what they're pretending to have is a better way to put that. Okay. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and bring this awesome meeting to a close. Thank you for the questions, emphasis. And Emperor, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the questions.
Get out while you can. She's a crook.
For questions, look at there, another sandwich being taken and somebody mad. Don't be mad about that. We love you. We love you. All rise and stand. You're going to be in your proper status too. No, you don't get to keep speaking. Be quiet. We said be quiet, and we meant that. Okay? Be quiet. Be respectful. This is a moorishe meeting. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and adjourn here, and we're demonstrating daily, doing things that, and then we'll be putting videos out on the documents that we've been working on and the demonstration that we've been working on over these last couple of weeks, so that you can see what we've been up to. And then also, again, always email us for the delarium, because we are getting that out as quickly as possible. It is already spread earthwide. So all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing. With that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, foreign heirs. Islam.
Islam. Peace and love.
Islam. Peace and love.
Islam. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Yes.